Peace, family. Give me one quick second and I'll be right with you guys. Just want to make sure that I get a chance to share the post so I could have enough people viewing. Alright. Thank you for joining us tonight, guys. Peace to everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. I'm a little nervous, so bear with me. But we're gonna touch base on a very, very, very important subject today, and we are going to gonna go into detail about certain things that maybe we are aware of, maybe we're not. Maybe we know some part of it. Maybe we don't know everything. But it's gonna be an interesting subject. If you like the presentation, please share it. Please share it, because I honestly believe that it's something that that we all should be very well aware of. All right. The subject of the presentation today is the raw truth about marriage licenses, and with that said, we're gonna get started. Hope you guys enjoy the presentation. We're going to start. With a few things that are very simple to us. We probably don't look at it into detail. We probably don't look into it deeper, but we're gonna find out some things tonight that I'm pretty sure they're gonna be jaw-dropping. With that said, follow me on YouTube, please. Follow me on YouTube. If you share the post, if you're already my friend on Facebook, that's awesome. Then you're gonna get to see most of my live feeds come as soon as they come. If you're not my friend, I'm gonna tell you off top. If you get referred to me by somebody that's already my friend, then I seriously consider you accepting you. I only have real close friends and family on my Facebook, so I'm very, very careful who I accept in there. Not because of the subject I speak. I've always been that way before even I started this. So if you saw the video through a share or anything like that, then just follow me on YouTube. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, most of my videos are in Spanish. Okay, that's the community I'm trying to reach. I'm trying to reach my people. I am from Central America. I'm naturally born in Guatemala. I currently reside in Chicago legally, before anybody starts thinking it otherwise. I'm trying to get this message to the people that are not within the United States. That's my main purpose. So most of the subjects that you are gonna find in here on my YouTube page are gonna be mainly in Spanish, but there is quite a few that I've made in English. All right. In the case that you would like to find a very, very similar subject, I would recommend that you follow Crumb Snatcher. He's a very knowledgeable person, and the brother has a plethora of knowledge that he could share with you He ain't got no hair on his tongue, so he speaks very bluntly, and I recommend you look him up, Crumb Snatcher. So with that said, let's get started, and we're gonna go into the raw truth about marriage licenses. Now, before we go any further, I know a lot of you are seeing this message, and you guys are seeing me smoking a cigarette. Yes, please, 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 do not judge the messenger. Okay, I am still working on myself. That is one of the few things, bad habits that I still have, that I'm trying to get rid of. I've done a whole lot of things. I am pretty much 100% vegan. I don't eat no meat, that's for sure. But there is other things that I am trying to take off of me, and cigarettes is one of them. So don't judge the messenger. Just listen to the message and take it, and don't believe absolutely nothing that I say. Take it and go research it yourself. Go find out for yourself what this really means, what it's really about. And from there, you could make your own decision, and you get to your own decision. Not based off of what I said, but what conclusion you came up with when you took my information and you went and researched it yourself. If you're just gonna try to debate me or anything like that, I'm not into that. I'm providing some information, and you could go do with it what you want. All right. With that said, let's continue. All right. It says, in America, when it comes to marriage, there are procedures and standards for marriage that one must follow. One of those procedures is to acquire a marriage license. Many people go about following the steps outlined for marriage according to the state, without ever knowing reasoning or history or legal aspect of what they are doing. Any other time most people sign a legally binding contract, they read it in detail to make sure it matches everything they were told, like when you buy a car, a house, cell phone, etc. Why do we not do the same for a marriage license? I'll tell you guys why. Pretty much what this is telling us is that the way it's been set up now, by the time we decide, we make that major decision to actually go forward with marriage, when you go get your marriage license, you only have a few, if I'm not mistaken, because I'm not gonna lie, I fell to this trap. I am currently under this contract, and it eats at me. It eats at me ever since I found this knowledge, and that's the reason why I came up with this presentation. I'm not the first one to come up with this, to throw this message out there or this information out there, but it is the first time for me throwing it out there because I think it's very, very important. But when it comes to this, we're too caught up in the moment. And all we want to think about is what ring are we gonna buy? Where is the wedding gonna be? Where is the church? If you're religious, where is the church gonna be at? What is my dress gonna look like? Who am I gonna invite? Who's gonna be my best man? Who's gonna be my maid of honor? That is all we're thinking about. We're not thinking about details of no contracts. We don't even look like at this as a contract. At least I didn't. When I went and got it, first of all, I never went. All right, I had my wife go take care of that paperwork, and she's the one that went and picked it up, because I thought it was irrelevant. All I wanted to do was get married, and that was a step for me to follow, to go get married, and my dumbass went and did it. All right. If you want further details about, outside of what I'm gonna provide with you today, I suggest that, again, you go to Crumb Snatcher's page on YouTube, and you look through his page and find his live feed on Polygamy 101. It's very, very interesting. I would suggest that you go and look for this live feed, just to further your knowledge from what you're gonna hear today. And from there, like I said, you could take the information and do what you want with it. All right. Now, let's look at the word license. All right. The word license is derived from the Latin word licentius, which means lacking restraint, ignoring societal standards, Disregard for accepting rules according to Black's Law's Dictionary. The word license is defined as the permission by competent authority to do an act which without such permission would be illegal. All right. Basically, this means the government makes something that was lawful to do illegal, so they can tell you that if you pay the government money, which is no different than a bribe, that they will turn their backs and give you a permit that allows you to break the law that they just said was illegal to do in the first place. Maybe you think I'm lying. So I looked up the definition, and we have it right here. License. It says a permit from an authority to own or use something, do a particular thing, or carry on a trade. All right, that's the first one. Then it says formal or official permission to do something. Then it says freedom to behave as one wishes, especially in a way that results in excessive, unacceptable behavior. Meaning that they gave you the freedom to act a fool because, technically speaking, you ain't supposed to be doing this in the first place. All right? Then it says a reason or excuse to do something wrong or excessive. And I boxed it up. So they give you a marriage license. And that license meaning pretty much states that you are about to do something that is not only wrong, but excessive. Now, do you consider your marriage wrong and excessive? Interesting. Let's move on. Now, the first major question people need to ask themselves is, why would it be illegal to marry without the state's permission? This isn't a question that really everybody brought up or addressed, because we are so accustomed to following the laws and statutes and commandments of men. All right? What we need to do now is look back at the history of marriage licenses in America and see how it exactly became about, and why the government and states enforced this system of enslavement upon the people. We are blessed to live in an information age. This information is out there so easily at our fingertips. Look this stuff up as I go through it. All right? This information that I'm about to tell you, it's all out there. You could go figure it out. And if you think the internet might be full of it and you need to step it up, go and find out for yourself. Go and find out if you're in the process of getting married and you're about to go get a marriage license, or you already did but you haven't got married yet. You need to think very hard before you sign that contract, okay? And I'm going to tell you why. Now, I got a picture of this lady right here, Martha Washington. She's the spouse of George Washington. She was the wife of George Washington, the first president of the United States, although the title was not coined until after her death. Martha Washington served as the first lady of the United States. Now, it says, although the title was not coined until after her death. It don't tell you exactly when after her death. But I'm going to take a wild stab at it and say that it was until marriage was actually established. Because George Washington didn't have to sign a marriage license. Or anyone else that was born before 1923. So I'm going to assume that her marriage to George Washington had the title and was recognized until 1923, or maybe even after. I'm gonna take a wild stab at that. Now, our ancestors that had the custom of choosing the man who would marry their daughter, that was different. That was completely different. And everybody's thinking, oh, Sergio, you're talking about arranged marriages and this and that. Yeah. But you guys think of arranged marriages and you think of a man. When in reality, our ancestors that made these decisions were women. It's always been women. I've been saying this for a long time. And I'm going to continue to keep saying it. I have videos on it. I have details on it. But the truth of the matter is that the melanated woman is God. And that fact has been hidden from us. We're not going to go into detail about that because this is not what the video is about. But I just want to throw that out there, okay? Now, there is going to be certain things during this video that are going to be about religion. It is not because I'm religious, because I follow no religion. Alright? I follow no religion. If you look at what the word religion means, it is derived of two words. The first two, which is R-E, and the last, which is it's a word that was changed. Instead of Lislegion, which is Ra-legion. And when you look at the meaning of both of those two words, Ra-legion, you find out that it's a binding contract that used to exist in the army of the Romans. But anyways, there's going to be some things in here that are about religion. Don't take it as I'm religion. It's just part of the history of this country. And we have no choice but to talk about it. But let's move on. Now, we're going to start with the history of the miscegenation laws. Alright? Let me see if anybody's watching. Alright, I got a couple people watching. Thank you for watching, guys. I appreciate you guys. Please, if you can, share the video so this information could get out there. Alright, let's continue. So, the history of miscegenation laws. Alright? Miscegenation laws were laws that ban interracial marriage and sometimes interracial sex between whites and blacks. In the United States, interracial marriage, cohabitation, and sex have since 1863 been termed as miscegenation. Okay? So, miscegenation pretty much was their way of making sure that it was illegal for people of color to have sexual relations with white people and vice versa. Alright? That's what miscegenation laws were. Alright? And just in case, you know, anybody's wondering or whatever, I grabbed it up and I put it together, you know, in the presentation so everybody could see what it is that it means, you know. And down here at the bottom first, it says in North America, laws against interracial marriage and interracial sex existed and were enforced in the 13 colonies for the late 17th century onwards, and subsequently in several U.S. states and U.S. territories until 1967. Alright? Now up here, we have the definition. It says anti-miscegenation laws in the United States. Now, in the United States, anti-miscegenation laws, also known as miscegenation laws, were state laws passed by individual states to prohibit miscegenations, nowadays more commonly referred to as interracial marriage and interracial sex. Alright? So pretty much, no sex, no marriage, if you were of two different races. If you were black or white, you weren't allowed to do either or. Alright? Let's move on. Now, in the United States, miscegenation laws were the laws passed by individual states to prohibit miscegenations, nowadays more commonly known to interracial marriage and interracial sex, typically define miscegenation as a felony. Yes, a felony charge. These laws prohibited the solemnization of weddings between persons of different races and prohibited the officiating of such ceremonies, which means that even the church had to abide by these laws. There was no you could go and now just get married through the church. No, the church was going to enforce whatever the state was saying. All right, just so you could put it right there and notice that there is a very, very tight connection between religion and between government. And government, just like religion, has a meaning to it. Government is derived of two words, of the word govern and the word ment. Ment as in what? Ment as in mental, as in governmental. Govern your mind. Alright? The same thing as religion. It's the very exact same thing. They are two entities that are working together for one purpose, and one purpose only. And we have to come and realize this before it's too late. And I don't know, but let's keep going. Now we're going to break down the switch, because there was a switch. They went from not allowing interracial marriages to allowing interracial marriages. But why? What changed? Why did they make the change? Something had to happen, right? So let's look at what happened. The word fornication in the year 1303 was defined as a sexual act committed with a prostitute. The Latin word fornix, from which fornicatio, the ancestor of fornication, is derived, meant a vault, an ark. An ark. It was referred to a vaulted cellar or a similar place where prostitutes pleaded their trade, thus making it in reference to a sexual act committed with a prostitute. Alright? So upon the states knowing that blacks and whites would still be tempted to marry, instead of just hitting them with just a felony charge, they redefined the definition of fornication and began using it when blacks and whites decided to marry one another or have sex, thus therefore making it a lawful act, linked with an unlawful biblical act, therefore bringing condemnation upon two people coming together as a sin and illegal. All right? And I put a couple of things here. First, I looked up the definition of fornix as is previously said. Now it says fornix is plural for fornices, Latin for arc. There's that word again. Arc can refer to firmix or throat scale, a bow prolongation of the corolla in boragina. I can't pronounce that name. Okay, fornix of the brain, fornix conjunctiva, a part of conjunctiva. Fornix vaginae, also called the vaginal formix. Alright? Now, you see right here, I have a couple pictures. Now, in this picture right here, you can see, obviously, is the Ark of the Covenant. Alright? And this right here is your brain. The one on the left is your brain. And if I'm not mistaken, the middle one, it's your pelvic bone it is the female's vagina, but the bone structural part, not the where the where the where all the tendons and all that. No, the bones that are holding that together, and that's what it looks like, the Ark of the Covenant. And when you look at our heads, it all, well, not our head, but I haven't looked into that as far as if it's on men as well. But I know for a fact in women, it also looks like the Ark of the Covenant. Right in the enclosure back here, where your claustrum is at, which is the encasing for your glands, which is your pineal gland and your pituitary gland. They're both right here, and that whole formation has a formation of the Ark of the Covenant. But if you want more details about the Ark of the Covenant, again, go follow Crumb Snatcher and watch his video, the Ark of the Covenant. You could look it up on video and on his video page and get further detail about that. All right, but let's move on. Now, with the majority of states at the time being racist states and being owners of slaves, this word fornication was then instituted by scholars into the Holy Bible, thus giving it the meaning or definition as a sexual act when occurring outside of marriage, such as any person who has sex without being married by the church. Now, through hiding behind Christ, this racist idiotic doctrine was brought into practice, and with the new definition of the word fornication being instituted, it gave the states a cover to continue racism by bringing those of different races into court to be tried for committing the felony act of fornication, thus labeling them as fornicators. All right? When you look at this stuff and you realize how it's set up, it's a master plan. It's a master design. Me personally, I do not think that they thought up of this when they wrote the Declaration of Independence or whatever, whenever the hell they came up with this stuff. They had this plan way before that. It's just being followed, in my opinion. But I mean that's just my opinion. But anyways, let's move on. Now we have here, when the government needed finances, some states began allowing interracial marriages or miscegenation as long as those marrying received a license from the state. So in other words, they had to receive permission to do an act which without such permission would have been illegal. In other words, you can't, if you don't go get a marriage license, you ain't never getting married. And if you do try to do it, it's not gonna be honored nowhere. Nowhere is not gonna be honored. All right. Remember, in Black Law Dictionary, it points to this historical fact when it defines marriage licenses as license or permission granted by a public authority to persons to intend to intermarry. Intermarry is defined in Black Law Dictionary as miscegenation, with mixed or interracial marriages. Not long after these licenses were issued, some states began requiring all people who marry to obtain a marriage license, see that they could make a profit of the union of marriage. So in 1923, the federal government established the Uniform Marriage and the Marriage License Act. They later established the Uniform Marriage and Divorce Act, just to cover their ass once you try, because they already knew. They already knew that the chances that this marriage was gonna last was slim to none, because from the beginning it was nulled. Why? Because the way our ancestors did it was the women are the one that chose who one of them was gonna marry into. But we look at that different now. Now we look at it like, oh, that's what the hell they call it? arranged marriages, you know, and we get all bent up about that. Oh, the woman herself, she would start telling you, you know, like, oh, you know, ain't nobody gonna tell me, you know, who I marry. I marry who I want. And immediately you go against your whole generation. You go against the whole monarchy, because that's what it was before. It was a monarchy. It wasn't a patriarchy like it is now. It was a monarchy, meaning a monarchy, as in mom. You know, so it was based off women. Women made all these decisions. It's always been that way. Just like the Ark of the Covenant, in my perception, it was a contract that women came up with to allow men to come into this world, because they were already here. Look at go research the Golden Age. The Golden Age clearly tells you that it was a time, it was a monarchy. It was a time when there was no men. There was no men. But the sons of God fell in love with the women of earth. So a contract was put, and it's not called a contract. I just can't think of the word right now. But the women put something together to allow us to come here. You ever wonder why there's 7 women to every man in the world? You ever wonder why women are in the statistics as far as how many men and how many women are born? It's always way more women than men. You never wonder about that? Or men only thought, oh man, that means I get 7 women. Immediately, you guys make it because I used to do the same. We make it about something sexual. We start, demonizing the whole thing instead of looking at the reasoning behind it. 7 women for every man. Yeah, because they was already here. They had been here. That's why when every single person to ever be born, in the first 5 weeks of pregnancy, you begin as a feminine cell. And then does that cell decide if he wants to defect and create a secondary being. Not a perfect, complete being, but one derived of the original cell, which is a feminine one, a woman. But now, how do we look at women? Now, how do we treat women? How do women treat themselves now? They don't even like being around each other. Now, if you look at their best friend, most of their best friends, it's a gay dude. But anyways, now, right here, let's look at the origin of the word fuck. We don't think about that. We say that all the time. All the time. And we don't even know what it means. First thing you say is like, man, Joe, I want to fuck that one, Joe. I'm finna hit that. You don't even know what the hell you saying. I didn't know what the fuck I was saying. Look, I'm saying it out. And look, let's read. It says, one origin story for fuck is that it comes from when sex was outlawed unless it was permitted explicitly by the king. So people who were legally banging had fornication under consent of the king. F-U-C-K on their doors. Or F-U-C-K. But obviously, that's wrong. And if you do believe that, stop it. They even threw it in there. They're gonna let you. They're gonna tell you the truth because they have to. They have to tell you the truth. But then they have to send you off, veer you off into another path, and throw you all types of delusions and formulas and words and all other stuff to make you seem like you a conspiracy theorist. You a fool. You a buffoon. Fornication under consent of the king. F-U-C-K. Fuck. Holy fuck. License. A permit for authority to own or use something, do a particular thing, or carry on a trade. Grant a license to something, someone, or something to permit the use of something or to allow the activity to take place. So we're pretty much when we go get that marriage license, we're asking for permission. We're asking for permission, John. We're asking for permission. That's crazy. Let's move on. Now, community property. Alright? Why? Because marriage licenses is pretty much the same in other states, but there are differences. One significant difference is there's 8 Western states that are community property states. The other states are common law states, including Utah, with the exception of Louisiana, which is a Napoleonic code state. Okay? So what's a community property? Let's look at the first one first. What's community property? Community property is a marital property regime under which most property acquired during the marriage, except for gifts from inheritance, to community or community is owned jointly by both spouses and divided upon divorce, annulment, or death. Joint ownership is automatically presumed by law in the absence of specific evidence that would point to a contrary conclusion for a particular place or property. Okay? And at the bottom, it says there are 9 community property states: Arizona, California, Idaho, Louisiana, Nevada, New Mexico, Texas, Washington, and Wisconsin. Wisconsin. Alaska is an opt-in community property state that gives both parties the option to make their property community property. All right? So that's what they're talking about in community property. Now let's look at common law states, which is the other ones. All right. If you're in a common law state, these are the states that is allowed in: Alabama, Colorado, District of Columbia, Georgia, Idaho, Iowa, Kansas, Montana, New Hampshire, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Texas, and Utah. All right. If you live in a state that does recognize common law marriage, if you live in one of the states mentioned and you hold yourself out to be married by telling the community you are married, calling each other husband and wife, using the same last name, filing joint income tax returns, etc., you can have common law marriage. For more information on specific requirements of the state, see legal information research. Common law marriages makes you a legally married couple in every way, even though you never obtain a marriage license. If you choose to end your relationship, you must get a divorce, even though you never had a wedding. Legally, common law marriages couples must play by all the same rules as regular married couples. All right? So pretty much, there is very few states that do this as far as recognizing yourself. And I don't even think that they even do this anymore, because I'm pretty sure most of them now are considered community property. But if you live in a state that does not recognize common law marriage, there is no way to form a common law marriage. No matter how long you live with your partner, there is one catch. If you spend time in a state that does recognize common law marriage, hold yourself out as married, and then return or move to a state that doesn't recognize that you are still married, since states all recognize marriages that occur in other states. However, this is murky. This is a murky legal territory, and we don't recommend experimenting with it. All right. Now, the marriage license is like a secular contract between two parties and a state. All right. We think that we going in there to marry your wife. No, you're not. All right, you're not. It's a three-party. It's a three-party contract. All right. It's you and your wife marrying into the state. That's why you have to go ask them for permission. And they give you your marriage license, allowing you, because you willfully went and asked for it, because you didn't even know what it meant. But upon you asking for it, you are making it a law. You are accepting it a law because you asked for it and you sign it. And you get a marriage certificate. And then you go on to have children. But we're going to get into that. We're moving too fast, all right? But the state is the principal party, and what we don't realize is that the state is the principal party in that secular contract. The husband and the wife are secondary or inferior parties. The secular contract is a three-way contract between the state as principal and the husband and wife as the other two legs of the contract. That means that off the get, the state holds 50%. The man holds 25%. And the female holds 25%. So who holds the upper hand in this contract? The state. And we just married into the state. Let's keep going. Now, it also said about Louisiana and Napoleonic Code, all right? In the United States, Ho's legal system is largely based on English common law. The state of Louisiana is unique in having a strong influence from Napoleonic Code and Spanish legal traditions on its civil code. Spanish and French colonial forces quarreled over Louisiana during most of the 1700s with Spain. All right. Now, the reason why Louisiana, practiced it and is influenced so much by Napoleonic Code is because, obviously, of the Louisiana Purchase. This was Mexico before, and that's where Spain was already at. They had already pillaged and conquered, raped and pillaged everything in there. They were just handing the land to somebody else now. This was Mexican property, or all Mex property, if you want to be technical. Don't tell me you didn't know about the Olmecs. Now, if you don't, you need to go research that because you're behind if you don't know about that. It could be either with a C at the end, at Olmecs, or with an X, which is where Mexicans come from. Olmecs, which is a very, very large part of the United States that expands all the way down, to where Mexico exists right now today. All right, but that's why Louisiana is so influenced by Napoleonic Code, because it was under the Queen of Spain before. Notice that it's the Queen that took that. When you play chess, yeah, if the king dies, it's over with. But why do they always go after the king first? I love chess. I love chess. And before I even came to know the fact that women are God, I knew that the king was worthless. He meant nothing. In the chessboard, the king is nothing. He's the dude that gets the glory after the queen done murked everybody. The queen is the one that gets to move any way she wants. In a chessboard, the queen is she's the one. That's who that's the plan to of securing or subduing. Because once you subdue her, the game is over technically. You got to be a real good player to win without your queen. You got to be a real strategic player to win. It's possible. But you got to go through some shit, and you're going to lose damn near everything. You might come down to the very last two pieces. But if your queen is gone, it's over with. Cancel Christmas. Chances are, 8 times out of 10, you finna lose. If you playing chess, you finna lose. Now all you guys playing checkers, while these people over there in the government are playing chess on us, y'all keep doing that. Keep doing that. That's why I'm offering this information. That's why I'm providing the information. Yeah, it just came to me too. But that's why I'm providing it, because I think you all need to learn about it too. So we could know what the hell we're getting into. What we're signing. These contracts. And don't think it's that easy that, oh, damn, now that I know, I'm just going to go get a divorce. If it was that easy, everybody would have done it by now. Because what do you require when you go get a divorce? A certificate of divorce, huh? Another certificate, another contract. So it's just a clause to say that this is null and this takes over now. Even though you're separated now, you and her are still attached to the state, because they still hold 50% of the original contract. So don't think you're just going to go run, because I already thought of that. Me and my wife already thought of that. We were already all up on it, like, man, so we finna get divorced, and we finna go on Facebook and just shock everybody and start talking about it like it's some crazy shit. Everybody gonna swear that we done lost our mind and that why did we break up? And nah, we weren't gonna do that. We just wanted to break that contract. And then I come to find out that they've been thought about that. They've been thought of that. Let's move on. Now, by 1929, every state in the Union had adopted marriage license laws. And by 1935, all states required licenses, except Maryland. But soon enough, they followed suit thereafter also. And so became the ball and chain. And we put the ball and chain, and who do we put it on all the time? When we talk about that, who do we put the ball and chain? On the man. Why? Why the man has the ball and chain? Because we make it seem like, oh, now we done fell into a woman's trap. Now we're in a cage. And she put us in a cage. Now I can't do nothing. Little do we know that ball and chain is because of the one that's holding 50% of your contract you just signed your life to. Who? The state. Wherever you married at, they own your ass. That's why 1 out of 2 marriages fail. Because it wasn't done the way it was supposed to. That's as clear as I could put it. Let's move on. let's talk about the marriage license, all right? Now, the marriage license is an ongoing contractual relationship with the state, all right? Technically speaking, the marriage license is a business license allowing the husband and wife in the name of marriage to enter into contracts with third parties and contract mortgages and debts. They can get car loans, home mortgages, and installment debts in the name of marriage because it is not a secular enterprise, but it is looked upon by the state as a privileged business enterprise as well as a for-profit business enterprise. The marriage contract acquires property throughout its existence, and over time, it is hoped increases in value. So they playing the gambling game with. They making bets on us. It don't matter if it fails or if it succeeds. Either way, they gonna make money. You can stay married for 2 years, a year if you want to. They done made money off our ass in that year. All right? That's the simple explanation of a marriage license, of this contract that we sign into. All right? Now, what we fail to realize with these procedures for marriage given by the government unto the state is that when you marry with a marriage license, you grant the state jurisdiction over your marriage. When you marry with a marriage license, your marriage is a creature of the state. It is a corporation of the state. Therefore, they have jurisdiction over your marriage, including the fruit of your marriage, in which the fruit of your marriage are the children and every piece of property you own. Yeah, that's right. They have jurisdiction over your children and your property. Now, would you grant some random person the right over your kids or your property? Would you? Willfully, would you knowing this, would you? No, right? Now I got a little memo right here, a little picture that I found. What a coincidence. What does it say? Because we're all worried right now, and I'm not saying that we should look past it, but it should be a wake-up call to us of what's happening at the border with our fellow Latinos. And not only Latinos, because there's people from all over. There's also our fellow black brothers and sisters over there from Haiti and other places over there at the border. But the way they're treating them and what they're doing to their children should be a wake-up call to us. And it should wake us up to reality. Not the reality of what's happening only to them. So now, let's not look at it that way because, let's worry about us first and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay. That's what this little meme or whatever you want to call it, it's about. This isn't who we are as a people. We don't like immigrant kids in cages. We like American kids in cages. Why? Because the United States has the highest child incarceration rate in the developed world. Okay? That means that in this plane, it don't matter if this place is round, flat, perpendicular, if it's hollow, or if it's a spiral. The United States has the highest child incarceration rate in everybody in the world. Huh? Land of the free, huh? But anyways, the United States has the highest child incarceration rate of all the developed world. The border situation is just a wake-up call to what already is going on within the country we live in. The marriage contract bears fruit by adding children. If sometime later the marriage fails and a divorce results, the contract continues in existence. The divorce is merely a contractual dissolution or amendment of the term and conditions of the contract or jurisdiction of the state over the marriage, over the husband and wife, now separated, continues over all aspects of the marriage, over marital property and over children brought into the marriage or that you had during the marriage. They own our fucking kids. And ain't shit we could do about it. If you do something that the state doesn't like, they finna take your shorties. Depending on what state you live on, you gotta look into what the laws are and what you fall under. Like we looked at before, do you fall under where is it at? Do you fall under the community property or do you fall under common law? And even common law is pretty screwed up. So I mean, damn, they own our shorties, huh? Well, that's fucked up. Look at me. And there I go again with the word fuck. Let's move on. Now, when you marry with a marriage license, you are not just marrying your spouse, but you are marrying the state. With this ring ID, wed is of the state and is found in most county courthouses in many states. That phrase itself was published by the State Bar Association. They happen to leave out the part about when you repeat your vows, you enter into a legal contract in which there are 3 parties to that contract. That's you, your spouse, and a third being the state you marry in. See, the state and the lawyers know that when you marry with a license, you're not just marrying your spouse, you're marrying the state, thus giving undue jurisdiction to the state. Because they hold the bigger part of the contract. And if you want to add God, they'll throw him in there. If you want to go do it at church. But before you do it at church, you better come to the city hall right quick. You don't gotta have nothing big, but you better stand in front of this judge and say, I do. And when you say I do, then you could go to your church and do what you need to do. Because you could try it if you want to and go try to see if your pastor or your whatever wants to marry you, you know, with the approval of the state. See how that goes. See what your pastor or your priest or whatever tells you. See if they do it. If they go through with it. They not. They gonna tell you you better go talk to daddy first, because daddy told me to make sure I tell you that you need to go get a marriage license, pimpin'. Real quick. Otherwise, you ain't finna get married. Ain't no getting married. Alright? Now, family law and domestic relations, court calls divorce a dissolution of the marriage because the contract continues in operation but amends or modified form. The marriage license contract is one of the strongest, most binding contractual relationship the state has on people. Okay? This is one of the biggest contracts the state has, because we blindly sign it and we never read nothing about it because we think it's just a piece of paper that's telling the church that it's okay to marry us. But we don't look at the fact that we just went and asked for permission. I thought we was grown. I sure as hell feel grown as hell. I sure as hell feel like you know, like I could do what I want when I want. But every time I turn, seems like Uncle Sam is like right behind me, even if I'm hiding. Huh. Interesting. Let's continue. Now, why do you think men is sought after for spousal and child support? The government knows how to break a man down and replace him with welfare and child support as being the child's father. To further cement this doctrine of acquiring licenses to marry, the Roman Catholic Church set up seminary schools to also indoctrinate and empower those who desire to become preachers, the authority figures in regard to marriage. Most preachers who are under the seminary delusion have no idea that when they are marrying somebody with a marriage license, they act as an agent of the state. They're not there as an agent of God. So not only is their God fake to begin with, they're not even representing that God. They said the fuck with that one. We need the written God's permission first. Go and get you a marriage license or two. Forget about that God stuff we've been telling you. That's what the church tell you pretty much. You gotta go talk to daddy first. This religious overtone is recognized by the state by requiring that the marriage must be solemnized either by the state official or by a minister of religion that has been deputized by the state to perform the marriage ceremony and make a return of the signed and executed marriage license to the state. So the contract comes back straight to daddy. Oh, they came and got their marriage license. Oh, okay. Oh, you got the you got it signed. Let me get that, cause I gotta put that on my file. That way, when I go get these shorties, I could. Hey, you signed it. You should have known what the hell you was signing before that. You didn't bother to ask. The information was there, but you didn't want to ask why you needed a marriage license. You just went on and got it, because that's what everybody doing. So if everybody jumping off the cliff, you finna follow too. Let's move on. The definition of a license: a revocable permission to commit some act that would be otherwise unlawful. Black's Law Dictionary, 7th edition. So when a couple applies for a license from the state to marry, they are actually, according to the definition we just read, asking for permission to engage in unlawful activity of marriage. Hold on. That makes no sense. You mean by their own definition of license, I have to apply to get permission to do something they said is unlawful to do otherwise? Unless they say it's okay? Really? Where they do that at? The United States of America, baby, the land of the free. The free contracts. Because that's what they handing out. They handing out free contracts. And we signing them motherfuckers over and over and over. Whether it be to go get a car, they're making money off of you. Whether you have kids and go get a birth certificate, they're making money. It don't matter. It don't matter. Alright? Let's move on. Now you're probably asking, why the license then? Well, because the state can regulate that which it licenses by entering into a state-sanctioned franchise, a marriage. As a married couple, a couple forfeits their right to a private, sovereign marriage and any ownership control of their children or property as a result of the marriage license. Couples who marry under state-sanctioned marriages license also give up 1/3 of their property to the state. Should one person die, the government, though the state tax, will demand the surviving party to essentially buy them out, up to a 40% tax. They finna make money off of us no matter what. Alright? In the civil law, the marriage is considered to be a for-profit venture or profit-making venture, even though it may never actually produce a profit operation. And as the wife goes out to the local market to purchase food stuff and other supplies for the marriage household, she is replenishing the stock of the business. All right? To restate, in the civil law, the marriage is considered to be a business venture that is for a profit, a for-profit business venture. Moreover, as children come into the marriage household, the business venue is considered to have borne fruit. We gotta look into this, guys. We gotta look into this because this is involving our children. This is involving everything. They have too much power over us. Too much power over us. Who's watching? We have a couple of people watching. Hey, Crumb, how you doing? Eric, what's up, bro? I hope everybody, please, share this, and listen to what it is that I'm presenting to you, because they're screwing us. They're screwing us one way or another. All right? Let's move on. Now, Child Protective Services receives its full power and authority to assist children via the marriage license under the ancient legal doctrine of parens patriae. Well, Sergio, what the hell is parens patriae? I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, but that's what but I have one right here. All right? It says, the government or any other authority regarded as the legal protector of citizens unable to protect themselves. The principle that political authority carries with it the responsibility for protection of its citizens. In other words, we are nobodies. We can't do nothing. We can't defend ourselves. We don't know how to get married. We don't know how to have children. We don't know how to feed these children. We don't know how to take care of them. We need help for everything. In the eyes of the government, we are idiots. And then social services show up at our crib, or somebody at school calls the social services per se, and they come check your house or whatever, and they leave, just like the little meme right here says, kids school call Child Protective Services. CPF's left saying, we're great parents. Yes. We even be happy that they told you that you're an okay parent. You may continue to keep watching over our children, because it's not ours. It's not ours. It's their children. We may continue to keep watching their children, but don't fuck up, because we'll be the holla. All right? That's all Child Protective Services has been. All right? That's all marriage is about. Now, parens patriae means literally the parent of the country, or to state it more bluntly, the state is an undisclosed true parent. Along with this line, a 1930s Arizona Supreme Court case state that parents have no property right in their children and have custody of their children during good behavior at the sufferance of the state. This means the parents may raise their children and maintain custody of their children as long as they don't offend the state. But if they in some manner displease the state can step in any time and exercise its superior status and take custody and control of its children. The parents are only conditional caretakers. Thus, the doctrine of loco parentis. The term loco parentis is Latin for in the place of parents. It refers to the legal responsibility of a person or organization to take on some of the functions and responsibility of a parent, originally derived from English common law. It is applied in two separate areas of law. One of them is children. These motherfuckers own my shorties, Joe. If you have children, you have to tell them this stuff. You have to bring this up. We have to pass on this message. Please share the video. Share the video and don't judge me because of my mistake that I've made in the past. Take the information and do something with it. Teach your children something that they will never learn in school, because all they're getting done in school is getting indoctrinated, passed on information. That's all that shit is. That's all it is. Let's move on. Now let's look at marriage licenses and the institution of CPS and Child Protective Services. All right? Let me drink some water, guys. Now, the origins of the doctrines parens patria and the law can be traced to the medieval and late medieval English chancery courts, where it played an important role in maintaining the structure of feudalism. The king had a royal prerogative to act as a guardian to persons with legal disabilities, such as infants, idiots, and lunatics. You consider yourself a lunatic? I'm just saying, just curious. Maybe an idiot. No, right? Okay. All right. Chancery as an agent of, wait, hold on. In today's world, the Department of Human Services functions as the Chancery, or agent of the monarch, or agent of the monarch. He's not acting as the monarch. Because it can't be, because it's not. It's a fake entity. It doesn't exist. We give it power the minute we sign. All right? All right. Or agent of the monarch, which is the state, in orderly transferring the feudal duties of labor to generate a tax base on future generations. Chancery, as an agent of monarch, had the duty to maintain the orderly transfer of feudal duties from one generation to another, and ensure that there will be someone available to perform these duties. And concept of parens patria was usually invoked in connection with problems of property or guardianship. Now, what was the Court of Chancery? The Court of Chancery was a court of equity in England. England and Wales, that followed a set of loose rules to avoid the slow pace of change and possible hardness or inequity of the common law. This is not something I'm making up, guys. Go look all this stuff up. It's everywhere. It's information that if you look, you will find it. All right? If you look, you will find it. But we don't know this stuff because we become complacent. We become complacent with everybody else, or not everybody else, with somebody else doing everything for us. We don't even do shit no more. We have smartphones and we don't even use them. We don't even look. We Googling some dumbass shit. Probably some porn or something. Or let's see what the Kardashians are up to. That's all we Googling. Oh, let's look at who's winning the World Cup in soccer. Oh my God, this one beat that one. Again, all entertained. Because that's all it is. It's entertainment to keep you occupied from the real shit that's going on. And like sheep, we follow. Like sheep, we follow. We're almost done. Let's keep going. No, the tax base is known as the full faith and credit of the American people and is pledged against every bond. A state bond issue is a loan the people vote to approve. Birth certificates, marriage certificates, and automobile certificates of title are just some of the commercial paper that the state government uses to collateralize their debt to the banks for all the bond issues the people vote for. Everything from marriage certificate, birth certificates. Now, if you've seen some of my videos, I've done a couple of them on my English videos. Go research your 144,000 strawman account. Okay, we're a company. We're literally a company that they're using to trade in the stock market. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you do. They're already betting on whether you're going to do something good and bad. If you're going to fuck up or if you're going to succeed. They already have a plan for it. Now, not to derive off of it, but just because, I put it in, I put it in there to remind myself, 144,000 is also the final frequency of light of your chakras that they emit when fully aligned. When you align your chakras and you use your sacred secretion or your sexual alchemy, however it is that you look at it, after it dies in your sacroplex, in your sacred place, you have the power to resuscitate it. And it will, after it made its travel from the claustrum, which is where the enclosing of the glands, after it makes his journey through your 33 vertebrates, is the story of Jesus Christ. Come on, for God's sake. Jesus Christ started his teaching at 33 years old. The claustrum is the story of Santa Claus. The claustrum. What does Santa Claus got to do? He's got to climb down a chimney. He's got to make a journey down the chimney. The same thing that your sacred secretion or your sexual alchemy, however you want to look at it, it makes its way down your 33 vertebrates. When it gets to your 5 fused vertebrates, which is I think it's your pelvic, not your pelvic bone, it's the bone of your ass, okay? I can't think of the name right now, but it's the bone of your ass. It's a very sensitive part. If you break that bone, that's it. You never walk in again. It's a very sacred place. When it gets there, it dies. And then you could make it resuscitate and ascend back to heaven. Where is heaven? In your crown chakra, at the top of your head. And once it reaches there, then you're enlightened. Your light that you are emitting, it amplifies. It amplifies by 1,000 because your chakras by themselves. Let me finish reading right here. In final frequency of the light, your chakras emit when fully aligned. Total aligned chakra frequency is 144 times the frequency of light. Upon returning your sacred secretion or your sexual alchemy to its crown chakra to be anointed by the pituitary gland and the pineal gland, that 144 is amplified by 1,000 to equate to 144,000 times the frequency of light. This is not something I'm making up for fucking Pete's sake. You guys don't want to believe me. Nobody wants to. You think, when did you hear me speak like this? When did you hear me know of stuff like this? This came out of nowhere. And just like I told my mama yesterday, yes, Mom, You're God. You're a goddess. And you gave me life, and you're the one that woke me, along with other things. And now I know. And I don't care what nobody says. I am the son of a god, of a goddess. Of a goddess born in the lands of Zebulun, one of the 13 tribes of Israel, the original Israelites. If you want to talk religiously, we, along with our black brothers and sisters, we're the same people. They've been washing down our blood since forever. This ain't my color. This is the result of thousands of years of rape and pillage of my goddesses. I'm the result of that. And I already told you in plenty of my other videos, that is instilled in your genes. That is a fact. If you have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, whatever you suffer, it's embedded into your genes and it's transferred over to your children. If you were raped or that fear, that feeling that you had is embedded into your genes, and you pass it on to your children. This is not something I'm making up. It's a fucking fact. And I feel it now. I feel the pain of my ancestors. And I hear them all day long telling me that the melanated woman is God. That my mama is God. Fuck what you heard. I'm getting a little carried away now. I'm letting my ego get the best of me. It upsets me that I didn't know before. Because I've never treated my mother as a goddess. I've never treated my wife as a goddess. I've never treated my daughter as a goddess. But that's about to change. And if I can't accomplish something, my children are going to. Because they will know. And the knowledge will be instilled in them. Both of them. Especially my daughter. Because she's going to claim her throne. Let's keep going. You are the one who gives Child Protective Services permission to steal your children, since the state can't regulate that which it licenses. Child Protective Services have blossomed into a money-making machine by snatching kids and receiving millions of federal dollars for them. A number of groups have tried to reform this shady practice, but it was in California, a politician who caught media attention in the summer of 2011 when he said that if elected, he would expose how local governments were amassing billions of dollars in annual reimbursements in exchange for the amounted to legal abduction of children. That's all it is. It's legal abduction of our children. That's all they're doing. It's not happening just at the border. It's happening here too. There's like 450,000, I think it is, children within the United States right now. Don't quote me on the number, but I know it's a high-ass number. Just within the United States that are incarcerated. This is not a immigration issue. This is a worldwide issue. This is a unite issue. This is to find out who the fuck you are. This is the man right here, Joseph Mercola. He's the one that made this quote. All right, right here. Well, hold on. Let me read to you. He's the author. I'm sorry, I'm incorrect. That he's not the one from the code. He's the one that best-selling author of this. What I'm about to read for you guys. Most people are not aware of how much profit many of these services provide the county. Jan Van Doors told the San Diego newspaper these profits are hard to ignore and even more difficult to pass up. Counties can bring in thousands of dollars in excess revenue for each child in foster care. Van Doors said, which means they have more incentive to remove children from their family than to keep families intact. As such, our county government is a major factor in the dismantling of families and or destruction of children's lives, he said. Dr. McCullough, New York Times, a best-selling author. Okay, who's Dr. McCullough? Dr. Michael McCullough is an alternative medicine proponent. All right, he's an alternative medicine. He's the doctor that's giving you not the pharma shit. He's giving you different ways of healing yourself, of taking care of yourself, natural ways. All right? Proponent, osteopathic physician, and web entrepreneur who makes a variety of controversial dietary supplements and medical devices through his website, Mercola.com. I've been to his website. I honestly, I haven't purchased any of his products, but a lot of the products that he have, Dr. Sebi has, or he provided. And anything I don't need to question nothing Dr. Sebi did, because he was one of the ones already that saved me. So anything that equates to the same work that Dr. Sebi was doing, yeah, I'm down with that shit. And I suggest you go and look, but do your research. Don't just go blindly asking for shit. Do your research. In most cases, Child Protective Services has no interest in reuniting families, because by keeping the family unit off balance, under constant worry and financial drain, the people of a state are more easily controlled and taxed and herded like sheep by the government by the governmental power. All right? These are facts, people. This is not something I'm making up. This is not something I'm making up. Please share the video. Share the video. Tell everybody about it. Gather the information yourself and find out for yourself the truth about what's really going on. All right? Let's move on. Where are we at? Right here. You see, a state which has strong, responsible families with good morals and understanding of right and wrong, and the time to focus on solutions to state abuse, would never be able to get away with a massive confiscation, taxation, and licensing schemes the government, as well as all states, enjoy perpetrating against its citizens today. All right? They have to do this. Now, I'm not saying that they have to, but in their eyes, they have to do this, because that's the only way to keep us under control. They got to keep us out of balance. They got to keep our chakras from staying aligned. They got to keep us from finding out that women are God, that this dude that they keep talking about, it's literally inside of us. It's something that happens inside of us. And they went and put this dude up there, and he's up there watching women and children get raped, murdered, and pillaged, and hung, and lynched, and all types of shit. And he's just sitting there watching all this shit. That's a crock of shit. That's a crock of fucking shit. The child is placed in a guardian ward relationship with state, where the parents function merely as custodians. That custodial relationship may be terminated by the authority state agency whenever it declares the child is not being raised according to the standards established by the states. Child Protective Services receives its authority to kidnap children from the child's parent. the moment a marriage license was applied for and granted. And I threw in a meme for you. I don't always sell children, but when I do, I go through the Child Protective Services. How you like them apples? Not looking at your shorties the same way anymore, are we? Especially if you don't got you don't did the fool like I did and went and got married. Now the foot is so far up my ass, I think I feel it coming out my mouth. Let's look at it at the last two slides. Just two slides. Bear with me, people. Who do we still got with me? I got a couple people. I hope everybody's enjoying the thing. We're going on 1 hour and 30 minutes, but we got 2 slides left. All right, let's move on. States can sue the parents on behalf of the child based on the state's rule of civil procedures, which states such as the one for the state of Maine, which states an executor, administrative, guardian, bailey, trustee of an express trust, a party which whom or in whose name a contract has been made for the benefit of another, or a party authorized by statute may sue in that person's own name without joining the party for whose benefit the auction is brought. Which means they could sue your ass in the name of your kid, put you in jail, charge you with fines, ruin your life. They could do anything they want in the name of the child. So in Maine, they can sue on behalf of the child without even using the child's name, because you, the parent, gave the state guardianship over your child with the marriage license, making the state a trustee of an expert trust. For at least the first 140 years of America's existence, there was never a child protective services protecting our children, since assault on a child was already illegal and dealt with by the county sheriff. They just went and added some shit, and since we too worried about some other shit, we didn't even bother to ask. Oh, it's for the children. Yes, government is for us. Government don't lie. They wouldn't tell us nothing that's not true. They're doing it for the children. Nobody hurts children. Now, what's the definition of child abuse and neglect in federal law? Federal legislation provides guidance to a state by identifying a minimum set of acts or behaviors that define child abuse and neglect. The Federal Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act. Alright? The definition of child abuse and neglect refers specifically to parents and other caregivers. A child, under the definition, generally means a person who is younger than the age of 18 or who is not an emancipated minor. While CAPTA provides definition for sexual abuse and the special cases of neglect related with withholding or failing to provide medical indicated treatment, it does not provide the specific definitions for the other types of maltreatment such as physical abuse, neglect, and emotional abuse. While federal legislation sets minimal standards for states that accept CAPTA funding, each state provides its own definition of maltreatments with civil and criminal statutes. Which means that not only are they following the federal law, but the states make their own adjustments as state law. Come on, people. These people are fucking with our children, and it's never been this way. We need to wake up. We need to do something and come together, realize that this is going on. If you don't believe in the shit that I be talking about, flat earth, then fuck flat earth. Then let's talk about our children then. Because I'm not a one-trick pony. This rabbit hole is way deeper than we could imagine. If I can't open your eyes with flat earth, then I'm going to open your eyes with something else. Because I'm researching everything. Everything. Now let's look at the last slide. If a child needs to be removed to a safer environment, he was brought to one of the privately funded homes which had to compete for money from the private sector. This competition forced the homes to maintain extremely high standards, and due to the limitations of funds, resolving family problems and reuniting the child with his family was the primary importance. Unlike today's state administered system of bureaucratic red tape and drugging programs that will damage a child for the rest of his or her life and ultimately alienate him from his family. All right? So what's a standard contract? A standard contract is a contract of adhesion, a Leonine contract, a take it or leave it contract, a boilerplate contract. It's a contract between two parties where the terms and conditions of the contract are set by one of the parties, and the other parties have little or no ability to do nothing. Once we sign that certificate, it's over with. Now, the Federal Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act, CAPTA, any recent act or failure to act on the part of a parent or caretaker which results in death, serious physical or emotional harm, sexual abuse or exploitation, or an act or failure to act which presents an imminent risk of serious harm, you're screwed. You're screwed. Another way to look at the marriage license contract with the state is a contract with adhesion, a contract between two desperate and equal parties. Again, a flawed contract. Such a contract with the state is said to be a specific performance contract as the privileges, duties, and responsibilities that attach. Now that is the ugly truth about the marriage license. And that is what I want everybody to understand, so we could come together and realize that this life we're leading, that we think we're doing so well in, while we step on other people, because that's all it is. It's a rat race here. Who do I step on to get what I want? It's the same thing at work. It's the same thing at school. It ain't about teaching equally. It's about who can memorize the most shit. And whoever can memorize the most shit, that's the one that we're going to award them. That's indoctrination, people. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And you need to find out what it is that we could do to come together and get rid of this bullshit. I appreciate your time. We went quite some time. You know, we're going on an hour and 40 minutes. That's the end of the presentation. I appreciate you very much. Please share the video. And remember, don't believe nothing I say. Take the information and research. Look for yourself. Find out the truth. Because together, we're a force to be reckoned with. But divided, we shall fall. I love you all. Stay flat. If you need more information, or if you want to join any of my groups or Crumb Snatcher groups, hit me up on private message. I'll be more than glad to add you. Alright? I'll be more than glad to add you. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Follow me on Facebook. Follow Crumb Snatcher on Facebook. If there's something that you don't agree with, research it and bring it to my attention. Maybe I did make a mistake, because I'm not perfect. I'm nowhere near perfect. I'm just trying to pass some knowledge. And with that said, thank you, good night, and I love y'all.